Hey, how you doing? Thank you, Dennis. I'm Larry, your resident cowboy for today. So that was one song from 1990 off that record. Thanks for bringing that. And one song from the latest record, which is called Cosmic Tears. Did you guys come up with any questions yet? And can you just smile? See, if you guys don't smile, then I have no idea if you like it. You're not singing along. You're not singing along, so if you're standing there with the normal guitar pros like this, then I'm like, oh God.
I've got a question.
I played the wrong note just now. Yes?
How was Vi Academy?
It was awesome. It was truly one of the best experiences. I just started at Vi Academy in Palm Springs, and Steve Vai, who's always been nice to me. I love playing with Steve. And every now and then, I had this moment. My job was to do instructions. We did a class every day. Me and two other people, Doug Doppler and Stig Matheson. And then Steve gave his master class, and then he would jam with one of the big artists. He would play and then jam with one of the bigger artists. And then he would jam with every member of the camp. So he got to play with Steve Vai and his band. And I ran a jam downstairs, or upstairs actually. And so one day I decided to sneak out of my jam real quick. I said, all right, you guys keep it together. I went up and jammed with Steve. It was a great jam. We both had a great time. But every now and then when you jam with Steve Vai, you're playing, and this is going well. I mean, it was going really great, but everybody was into it. And then he takes off, and then you go, it's Steve Vai, that's right. There's a realization. It's like, oh, that's right, that's Steve Vai. It happened to me in Japan. I'm on stage. It was Andy Timmons, one of my favorite guitar players, Marty Friedman, Paul Gilbert, who's crazy, and then Steve Vai, and then me soloing. At first, I was like, really? Who made this order? Who made this order? And then it was cool. We did a round, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. I can hang. And then the level just started to go up. And then Steve did his thing, and we're all going, and I'm going, oh, that's right, I'm supposed to be soloing now. So every now and then you just kind of go, oh, that's right, that's Steve Vai. So it was great. Steve Morse is wonderful, one of the nicest guys in playing guitar. He was there. St. Vincent, who's just eclectic, and really, her master class was great. And it was really great to meet her. And Ingve was Ingve. He had, I don't know if he could get all of his amps that he used to play with tracks against that wall. But it was fun. It was really cool. It was a great experience. With Steve, it's always like a spiritual event too. So his master classes was on theory. Mine were not. His master classes were on theory, but it's also a life lesson, and just about everything is really cool. There was a moment where there was a kid who he couldn't stand up, and he could barely, like his hands didn't really work. And like I said, every member of the camp got to play with Steve. So they brought him on stage, the band's waiting rather, and they put him down, and he hit a guitar, and it took him about 30, 40 seconds to play one chord. So he would, like that, and Steve would usher the band in, and they would all play, they would crescendo, and Steve would play this insane, it was beautiful. And then they would wait, and he would just start to find another chord, and they would all do that. And it was just that, it was in a moment that this kid's never gonna forget. It was, I'm never gonna forget it. It was brilliant. And then there were guys that could really play that. We got up there to jam with Steve, and it was a really good community. It was very nice. I don't know what the other camps are like. There are some people that went to all 4 VI academies, and some that went to the G4 experience with Satriani. Some that went to the Petrucci camp, and there were all different things they were saying about stuff like that. But you can't. Everybody's experience is a little different. But in general, I think almost everybody had a great time.
Were all the campers guitarists? I mean, all the people joined guitarists?
Yes, they were campers that were guitarists. You could pay a certain fee for your.
Anybody playing anybody come there with any other instruments? Or?
They hired 2 rhythm sections from Musicians Institute to come to help with the jams. That's why, and then Steve Vai's band.
They didn't have like campers. There were drummers and bass players.
No, it was all about guitar. It was full on egoed out, all about guitar. But there were a lot of guitar players that played drums. I played drums for a little bit in the jams, and there were other guys that played bass and stuff like that when we could find a bass. So, that was it. It was really a great experience, and if they ask me to do it again, I will definitely do it again.
Are you musically trained as far as being able to read, understanding theory, or because you seem to have a great combination of just feel and melody?
Thanks.
It seems like you just kind of have it all together. So are you able to just sight read or read charts?
Sight read? No. No. I think it's a great thing. I understand theory. I'm self-taught, or I should say community taught. When I was growing up, there was always a group of 10 guitar players, no matter where I was or what group of people I hung out with. It just seemed like there was 10 guitar players. And one of my favorite groups was guys in the 5 Towns. And it was I grew up in Brooklyn and in Far Rockaway, Queens. And when I was younger and I was in Queens, Far Rockaway, the hero then was Steve Stevens. He lived in Far Rockaway. And he was, even before he got the Billy Idol gig, he was in a band called One Hand Clap, and he was like the legend. And then I started hanging out, as I got older, I started hanging out in 5 Towns, and there were 10 guitar players from that. And 1, 2, me, John, Jeff, and Arnie. There's 5 of us that actually ended up doing it professionally. A couple of the other guys are doctors, dentists, lawyers, and stuff like that. And they're all happy and stuff like that. They come out to shows. John Levin was the kid in high school that you went to, and he go, "Hey John, could you figure out this Eddie Van Halen lick? Can you figure out this?" And he loved George Lynch, so he could figure out any George Lynch lick. And he did a tour with Doro Pesch, and then he became a lawyer. And then for the last, I don't know how many years, he's been playing in Dokken, which he already knew that stuff. And I always say I would have loved to be on a fly in the wall when they said, "We need a guitar player." I go, "Yeah, you're a lawyer." And I'm like, "What?" And I'm auditioning our lawyer, and then because he's a sick guitar player. And another guitar player ended up in a band called, I think it was Danzig, for a minute. And another one went into the rockabilly phase, and I'm not sure what band but he was doing it well for a while. So out of that group of 10, 5 of us came out and started doing stuff. But so we would get together, and we're all different styles. Like the guy who was in Danzig was the jazz guy, and I was the funk guy, and everybody played different styles. But we'd all just had the love of guitar. So we're just like we're all sitting here at guitars going like, oh wait, what's that lick? And you can learn something from anybody. And that's where I learned that you can learn something from someone from beginner, someone who's been playing forever, a person that only plays jazz, and you don't play jazz and go, wait, show me that one thing you just did and explain to me why you did it, you know. And so we had a great time. So that's community talk. So I understand theory, some theory, not on the super levels. I think I have pretty good ears, and from producing, I started producing back in '95, and you find yourself in a situation where you're like, man, why does these strings not work? And then you hire a string player, and you go, oh, that's why they don't work. That's why they don't make any sense, because the cello doesn't do that, or the violin doesn't do that. So I've learned a lot through trial and error. But sight reading, I've been asked maybe 5 times in my life to really read something where it depended on it. And that's it. And most times people would not hire me to read anyway. They would just want me to do stuff with effects or whatever. So. What else?
What kind of wah you use?
A wah?
What kind of?
I don't use any effects. I'm just using an expression pedal. And everything is built in. I'm just plugged straight into this modeler, and it's plugged into the 2 speakers. So on a clean sound, it's probably modeling a crybaby, and on the lead sound, it's modeling a Clyde. So their frequency range is different. The Clyde is going to starts lower and doesn't go as high. The sweep. So. As opposed to, oh, that's the same. Sorry. The thing that's cool about having everything preset is that you spend time working on it, and you kind of forget. You know what you have to hit and why and when, but. So there's a subtle difference there. I really don't know which one is which, but I usually, my philosophy was always the crybaby for the clean stuff and the Clyde for the wah. I like the wah not to go as bright, and I like to. So it doesn't. All the throw is at the top. All the full sweep is at the top. Mm-hmm. What else? You guys have to have more questions. Yes.
You said like you travel around with like modeling and all that stuff. What kind of have you been one of those that plays like the same amp, same rig at home all the time? Do you kind of swap out amps a lot, or what are you playing at home?
I love gear. I love pedals. I have a lot of pedals. And actually, if I was in a car doing gigs with a car, I still have this, but I have a little side pedal board with pedals in front and sometimes pedals behind. Again, this is great when everything's programmed, and I have control where I can turn things on and off. But just for fun, creatively, I have other pedals that do wacky stuff, and I can step on them in the middle. I can extend the song, especially playing with a band. I can extend the song and add different things.
What kind of stuff did you pick up with the effects from playing with Steve or being in that camp? Did you pick up any things that you?
No, I gave the effects class.
Okay, I know because he's pretty out there with a lot of the effects that he uses. So I'm just wondering if
Yeah.
anything new that you picked up from being there.
No.
No?
We didn't talk about we didn't talk about effects. It was just the spiritual experience of just playing with him. But yeah, no. Yeah, I've always been. In fact, when I was in high school, I was in a Rush cover. Well, right out of high school, I was in a Rush cover band, and I had. Let me get the Rush shirt on. I had 2 pedal boards. I had a pedal board with 11 pedals for clean, and a pedal board with 10 pedals for lead, and an AB box in between. So I've always been. Then we started doing the Police and Zebra and Triumph and stuff like that. And I was always the guitar players that used a lot of it. I'm a big Edge fan from U2, and so I was always into special. Can you smile? Thank you.
What kind of amps do you tube amps, obviously, but what kind of amps do you tend to prefer? Marshall, Boogie, Cornford?
You know, they're all tools. They're all tools to me. Whatever I need to get the job done is what I use. I have I have a 7300 watt head, Marshall head. That's great. It's crazy loud, and I think Jesse asked me earlier, you know, do you ever use it? When I do pedal demos, videos, I use it, but I can't turn it up that loud. It sounds great. I use channel 2. I don't use the bright channel, but it sounds great. It really sounds great. And I have quite a few old Fender Pro Juniors. Oh, not old, but old now. That's right. Yeah, they're 20 years old now. Wow, almost 30 years old. The little tweed Fender 110-inch speaker, and those are great. They always take pedals really well. And I have a DB Mark that's got a really great clean sound, and I love the crunch sound. I'm not a huge fan of the lead sound yet, but the crunch sound and the clean sound is great. But I have these and I use it a lot. When I mic up amps, I'll try to mic up the Marshall the most, or the Fenders. The Fenders, for some reason, if somebody next door turns on the blender, I hear it through that amp. The Marshall, it could be anything. It's still on. Which is really rare. I toured with a guy who used a ton of Marshalls, and we had 12 heads on the road. No, he only used 2 at a time. You know who I'm talking about because we were talking about it earlier. And they would just blow up. And his text would be like, "Oh yeah, all right, hold on a second." They would go open another case and they'd pull it out. He used a 100 watt Marshall head for a clean, non-master volume, and a 50 watt JCM 800 with a master volume for lead, and an AB box and a wah pedal. And his idea of tone changes, which was brilliant. I so wish I was into, I'm into vintage guitars now. I so wish I was into it back in the 90s. His idea of tone change was you start out with a no-caster. And then you want a little beefy tone, you use a 59 Junior, Les Paul Junior, and then you go up to a 57 Gold Top, and then the ultimate is a 58 Burst. And he took these on the road, and it was so loud. It was just unbelievably loud. In fact, the drummer, I remember standing on stage playing and going, "Wow, this is rock and roll. I'm in a rock and roll band. I'm touring it." And I was playing and going, my sound was louder in the drummer's monitors than it was coming out of my rig. And then I walked in front of the artist and I was like, "Oh my God, never do that again." You walk in and go, "Oh God." It was so, huh?
I did sound check with him.
Yes.
He made me stand right in front of the stage, and I didn't know what to expect. And as soon as it hit the first 2 notes,
Yeah,
I was out of there.
No. But it sounded great, right?
Oh, sounded amazing.
Yeah.
Just ear splitting.
Yes. What else?
Will you name this person?
We're talking good about him, but yeah. What's up? Any other questions?
Who did you grow up listening to when you were a kid?
I grew up listening to a lot of funk and R&B, and my mom listened to country. There was a band next door that was called Brass Construction when we lived in Brooklyn, and then when I got into Queens, Far Rockaway, Queens, Nile Rodgers was king. That was the whole disco era, and it was like the fun thing. And I'm a Nile Rodgers fan, and when I got to meet him, of course I embarrassed myself. But... Huh?
Don't feel bad. I did the same, and I happened to be holding his guitar when he walked in the room.
It wasn't purple, was it? It wasn't a purple Ibanez?
It was a hitmaker.
Okay. Oh.
The hitmaker brought it in the room to be recredited.
I did a record playing guitar for Rico Cassidy from the Cars, and Niall produced it. And Ibanez had just sent me this really cool purple quilted maple. It was the PVC series they once made in Ben Salem. And Niall's like, "Man, that's a beautiful guitar. Let me check it out." So he played it. And he's like, "Man, I love a guitar like this." I go, "You're Nile Rodgers. They'll get you one." So we call Ibanez. Chris Kelly was there. I said, "Chris, Nile Rodgers likes this guitar." And he goes, "Oh, cool. Let me talk to him." So he talked to him. And now he goes, "Yeah, they're going to send me one in like a week or so." I said, "Okay, cool." I get home a couple of days later. hey Larry, from Chris, he goes, hey man, that guitar, can we get that guitar back for you? What? So I see Niall like a month later, and he goes, yeah, they say my guitar is just like yours. I said, yeah. Somebody's always low man on the totem pole. So my mom got me into Santana, and then for weird, so we're gonna get a little bizarre here. For a weird reason, I stayed away from Hendrix. I got into Hendrix, I got into the songs, but do you play guitar? No. Okay. When you're African American and you play guitar, everyone either expects you to play disco or to be Hendrix. And I've had this conversation with Vernon Reid many times. So I for the stupidest reason, stayed away from Hendrix for many times.
I don't blame you.
And then I got into Eric Johnson. And I said, screw that. Because Eric's playing like Hendrix stuff, note for note. So I got into Eric Johnson big time. That was a turning point for me, Eric Johnson. I was like, I heard that.
The Tones album? The Tones album?
No, it wasn't Tones. It was, all right, so in, was it 80s? I guess 80s, mid 80s or late 80s. Guitar Player magazine had those sound pages in there. And so the Cliffs of Dover from Austin City Limits came out. And that's the famous article where Eric's talking about the difference in batteries.
Yeah.
And you kind of got, so I started reading it, and of course I judged him, which I should not have done. I was like, oh, he's a country guy. I wasn't into country then. I'm into country players now, for a while now. But I was like, oh, he's a country guy, and this guy's nuts. He said batteries and brass plugs going in and silver plugs coming out, and it's like whatever. So my friend Ira picks me up, and we used to take those sound pages and put them on a cassette, so we could listen to them over. We had Blue Powder, and we even had the Steve Stevens Guitar World according to Steve Stevens, which is a great track that Guitar World put on one of those pages. And I remember we were driving on Sunrise Highway in Long Island, and whatever song we were listening to ended, and the Cliffs of Dover started, and I was like, "What's this?" He goes, "What?" Stop the car. He goes, what's wrong? Stop the car. It's like, who is that? He goes, oh, it's that country guy you didn't listen to. Eric Johnson. I'm like, that's him? And that was the sound I heard in my head that I was like, and I spent forever trying to figure out how to do it. So that's kind of it. And I listen to a lot of different players. I'm a big Keith Urban fan now, for a while, and Brad Paisley. And Vibe was always, it was kind of always around, so you could go see him and George Cintron on Lonely Island. I'm trying to think who else. I know I was into Al Di Meola in high school, too. What else?
Spinal Tap moment?
Huh?
Your best Spinal Tap moment?
Ooh. Camera's rolling.
Turn the camera off.
Well, I don't know if it's really Spinal Tap. Well, the thing where they're walking trying to find a stage, that's happened quite a few times. You play a club, and you go, and then they show you the way out, and then you get down there and you're gonna go. And I don't drink. I never drank or did drugs. And you kind of go, I'm lost. And actually, I was in a rock band, where everybody else was about to get on stage, kind of high, and none of us could find the thing. You just kind of stand there, wait till somebody goes, all right, 5 minutes, and you just follow that person. But I toured with Tracy Chapman in '92, and when we did the rehearsals in San Francisco, she took me to the Warfield to see Bob Dylan, and we went downstairs and met Bob, and it was it's Dylan. It was an amazing thing. Later on that tour, we were in France, in the south of France, and we played a show, and our hotel, it's like right on the water. Our hotel was here, the show's here. So when you go see a band, on tour, and if their hotel is close by, one of the tricks they do is they put you in the bus and they drive you around town until everybody stops following you to pull you right back over here to drop you off. Otherwise, people just hang out at the hotel, I guess. So we were waiting for the hotel, and Tracy was gone. She was in her car and probably went to eat or something like that. I decided to not wait for the bus since the hotel was over there. I could see the hotel, so I decided to walk. And these two couples followed me, and one couple's like, "Hey, can you sign an autograph? And where's Tracy?" And I was like, "I don't know what Tracy is, but sure." So I signed the thing, and then they handed the pen, and they left. And the next couple was there. They go, "Can you sign, this for us?" And I'm like, "Sure, but I don't have a pen." So we just get to the front of the hotel, and I go, "Oh, there's a table of people there. Let me see if anybody has a pen." And so I walk in, and they're following me, and I go to the first guy, and I go, "Steve, do you have a pen?" And he goes, "No, I don't have a pen." Next person, "Do you have a pen?" And I'm looking at people, and I finally go to the guy over here. I go, "Steve, do you have a pen?" And he looks down, and he goes like that. And everybody, the tension rose. And people were like, "Oh, hey, here's a pen." And the guy from the hotel came over and gave me a pen. And then I realized I just asked Bob Dylan for a pen to sign an autograph. And the couple didn't realize that was Bob Dylan. And which was so great. So the next day I said to Tracy, "Hey, Tracy, I have to tell you this. I don't know if he's going to say anything, but I asked Bob Dylan for a pen to sign an autograph." She goes, "What?" That was a bizarre moment for me. But I don't know any other Spinal Tap moments. I don't know. Good question, though. I've never been asked that.
What do you warm up with? You warm up with scales, modes? What do you warm it up with?
I do simple stuff. First of all, I play major scales and minor pentatonic scales, blues scales. That's it. I don't do a lot of the fancy stuff. Although I opened for Eric Johnson once, and after I got off the stage, his text said, "Eric wants to see you." And I'm like, "Oh, what did I do wrong?" I go up, and Eric goes, "Man, it was beautiful. You did this song, and you did this, and you're doing that." And I was like, "Yeah, I played 3 chords." And he goes, no, you were doing this extensions and all. I said, "Is he listening to the same thing I was playing?" But in the same song, to be fair, that same song, I did a clinic at Berklee School of Music years ago, John Finn's class. And we played 2 songs, and I played the song that Eric was talking about. I'll play it now. And then John stopped, and the playing part of the clinic now was over because they analyzed that song for 20 minutes. It's like, really? You guys got all of that from this song? Cool. And they went way over my head. And I was like, I just know there's different tonal centers that I'm doing. Again, I understand theory, and then you can start to get a little bit further, and I'm just kind of, all right, that's way out of my thing. And it's on that record. It's Political Rain. Should I play it?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. So again, it's I gotta go up. They thought it did all this other stuff. I look at it as 3 chords: A minor, G, F. Gotta find it first. Bye.